Namgiakona, the podcast inspiring entrepreneurials in South Africa. Because if it's going to be, it's up to me.
Now I properly have identified the problem. If you don't encounter challenges, you don't grow. Failure happens almost all the time. It's just about how you take that in.
Nazo Bangani, welcome back to Namgiakona. Because we all know that if it's going to be, it's up to me. Today, I have a very special guest for us, an entrepreneur and founder and leader in the tech and law space, which I'm very excited to get into. But before we do, I do want to remind you to comment down below if you have questions for our guest today. We'll try and make sure she gets them. And also, if you were inspired, what exactly inspired you? Very grateful every time to chat to you guys. From me, your host, Buntu Majaja, welcome to Namgiakona. And welcome to you too as well, Grace.
Thank you for having me, Buntu.
Yes, we need
Standard.
to keep in compliance as we were chatting earlier. But I mean, Grace, really grateful to have you here and chatting to us and sharing your journey as the founder of LUMA Law, which is a paralegal in your pocket. What that means is that in your phone you have access to legal experts and advice. That cover the most basic and important things that all of us should know.
Absolutely.
What is it that made you start this journey? What did you see as the problem that you were trying to solve?
Thank you so much for that, Buntu. I think a lot of times people don't realize that your problem-solving journey actually starts before you realize that you're actually on your journey. So how I actually started, I was working full-time. I was only focused on climbing the corporate ladder. I had no interest in any type of social work. The last time I had done any type of social work was in university. But I'm a lawyer by training, and usually, like similarly with doctors, when you're a lawyer, everyone thinks you know everything about the law, right? So one fine day, I had one of the cleaning staff in our offices approach me about claiming maintenance. She's like, what do I do? Where do I go? Where do I even get the forms? Like, how do I even start this process? So I helped her through that. It was one of those where I really enjoyed helping her through lunchtime. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks. There you go, on your way. Little did I know, she went and spoke to a lot of the other cleaners, and like our offices were huge. So we had a cleaning complement of at least 20, 30 cleaners. She spoke to them, and then they just kept coming to me one by one.
You told me you won't believe what happened. I'm sorted now.
That's exactly what happened. And we sit in open plan type of office space. So my colleagues were like, why these cleaners keep going to Grace? Like, what's happening here? So I realized that, you know what, I can't keep doing this one-on-one because I'm probably going to get into trouble. So I set up with them lunchtime workshops, and we started doing workshops in the basement. And I did that for a good 6 months, just teaching them about the law, about their rights when it comes to family law, when it comes to labor law, what happens with a will, what happens when you die with a will, without a will. And for me, it was so fulfilling because I didn't realize that the information that I had and that I took for granted could actually change people's lives. And that was the aha moment for me.
What for you inspired you, and when did you decide that actually you want to solve this problem and you have to be the one that does it?
I think for me, it came about from realizing that I have information and people need information. And sometimes it's not even the type of information that you need to specifically go and see a lawyer for. It's basic information. It's what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What documents do I need? And who can help me along the way if I can't afford an actual attorney? That was my problem. How did I go from being employed into the journey of entrepreneurship? It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you often hear people saying that it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, So I carried on with my full-time job. I kept working with the cleaners, but I got to the point where I think I'd actually taught them enough. Plus HR was like, what are you guys doing down there? What's happening there, Grace, So I took my workshops outside of the office, and I started going into communities I got a little bit of resistance when I first started because I didn't, when you just want to solve a problem, you don't understand that there's protocol. So I'd go into these communities, I'd be putting up my posters. No one knows me, by the way. And then I'd book the community hall. Next thing you know, my first workshop was successful, but my second workshop, because I hadn't communicated with a ward counselor, he was like, who are you? Are you EFF? Are you ANC? Like, who are you politically affiliated? And I was like, whoa, I didn't know we were going this deep. I am just here to help people, And from there, I think that's what it means to be on the journey of entrepreneurship. You constantly have to pivot. You constantly have to change your model. So I realized going into the community, you need the trust of the community. They don't know me, they don't trust me. Who do they know, who do they trust? So I started working with other NGOs that were established in most of these communities. And from there, we've honestly grown from strength to strength. And as that was like in 2018, I made a pivotal decision because from all the workshops that I was doing, I always gave out my cell phone number. So on my WhatsApp, I had more people from my workshops contacting me from Northern Cape, from Free State, from Limpopo, telling me my cousin was in your workshop. She says you deal with this kind of stuff. Can you help me? I started getting very overwhelmed and thinking, you know what? There must be an easier way to do this. Clearly, if they're reaching me on WhatsApp, it therefore throws out the myth that people don't use technology. And it also throws out the myth that if people have a problem, they're not going to try and find a digital solution to try and resolve their problem. That's where I think I officially became an entrepreneur, because I was like, okay, now I properly have identified the problem, and I think a digital solution could work here.
Very cool. And then you were actually inspired then to continue and solve that problem. Would you recall for us how you encountered challenges, or what kind of challenges you encountered, and maybe even more so is how you view challenges, and when you did encounter them, how have you overcome them? What's your take on issues and challenges that are stopping you on this journey that's so important?
Ubuntu, if you don't encounter challenges, you don't grow. Challenges force you to think outside the box. Because once you're met with a problem, you literally have to ask yourself, okay, how do I move past this? The first challenge I got when I had people all in my WhatsApp, I had to be like, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to communicate with people? I can't do a WhatsApp group because I have to be mindful of people's privacy. So how do I do this? I'm not a techie, I'm a lawyer. I mean, for us, email was the greatest invention. So anything beyond that was really outside of my comfort zone. So I started Googling ways of doing this. And I wasn't even sure what I was Googling. I was just trying to find ways to communicate with people. And I came across the concept of chatbots. I didn't know that they were around for so long. I didn't even know that I had interacted with multiple chatbots in my lifetime. But I started seeing how a chatbot, especially an intelligent chatbot, will be able to have a real conversation with a human, providing them with real information, real time, and that could actually make the difference. And from there, solving my challenge of, okay, how do I go from now I know about chatbots, now I need a chatbot, I literally went on LinkedIn and I found my development partners right now. I literally emailed one of the software developers. I told them about my idea. I told them, look, I think I'm onto something. I would really like to meet you guys because I think there's synergy, but I don't have any money, but I still think you should meet with me. That was literally it. And sometimes it's just about communicating, putting yourself out there. As an entrepreneur, you constantly have to be vulnerable and be open to hearing a yes or a no, because you don't always win. Failure happens almost all the time. It's just about how you take that in and then pick yourself up and figure out, okay, so they've said no. I actually honestly don't see no as a no. I see it as a later or maybe this was just not the right time. But that's literally how I see failure or how I see setback. It's about how you take that and move yourself forward.
Amazing. So even Abazali, when they say no, it just means later. Just hang in there if you are set on what you are doing. What does that mean to be vulnerable as an entrepreneur, as someone who's on a journey to be successful?
I think being vulnerable is the opposite of what people tell, of the advice that's given to people who want to go entrepreneurship. So you're always told, don't be vulnerable. But without being vulnerable, then you don't allow yourself to be in a space where you can actually meet people or present your idea to people who might see something in you that you might not ever have seen in yourself. Had I not had the courage to send a complete stranger a direct message on a global online platform, she didn't know me. Had I not been vulnerable enough and believed in my purpose and my plan and my vision enough, LUMA wouldn't be here today. It's important for entrepreneurs to be vulnerable, because that's when you're driven to do more, to move on to the next thing. Because without that, you become stubborn or you become stuck in your ways. You don't want to communicate, you don't want to collaborate. That's a problem. I honestly think collaboration is the new competition, because you can't fix the problem on your own.
Beautiful, beautiful thought. How have you built confidence in times when you felt this is difficult, this is challenging, or when you doubted yourself and maybe others doubted you as well?
I've had many of those moments, Buntu. Many of those moments where I've doubted myself and others have doubted me, because what I'm proposing is something completely out of the box when it comes to accessing justice in this country and for the world. So there were many times where I was called crazy, where I was told there's no way you can remove the human from the legal space. And to a large extent, I agree, because the justice journey is a human journey. It's a journey of feeling. It's a journey of emotions. Losing your job, going through a divorce, those are things that come with so many emotions over and above the fact that you have to deal with the justice system. So with the confidence of knowing that I am on a journey, I have to believe in myself, even on the days where I am down. I have to believe in myself enough to know that, my vision is strong enough. My purpose is strong enough. My solution works. And there will be naysayers. But knowing that, at the end of this day, I will show them. I will show them that it's possible. And that's a skill that unfortunately a lot of us are not taught from an early age. We're talking to the kids right now. When I was in high school, I was very insecure. And these are things that I wish someone had told me about: building confidence, making decisions, making the right decisions, having the discipline to stick to your decisions, having the discipline to not be swayed by friends or influences, and that's something that I wish more and more people would speak to our young people.
Beautiful, beautiful thoughts around the skills and the characters and the values, and how those come together to actually put you into a space where you take on challenges. You are confident to be vulnerable, and you're also confident to believe in yourself. And really on that note, Grace, want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and wise words on your journey. We are wishing you more and more success. Nazo Gevangani, you heard it here once again, Uguti. Grace has taken it upon her own hands that she will make herself someone who believes in herself enough to know that she can too solve the problem that she sees, and that's connected to her passion. So were you inspired today? Do you have a question? Do you have thoughts? Put it down in the comments below. Always happy to hear from you. And till next time, that's us here at Namgia Corner podcast, because if it's going to be, it's up to me. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Buntu. Thank you for having me.
Stay inspired and be entrepreneurial. Follow us on social media and find us on WhatsApp. Namgia Corner.